Arizona basketball is squarely back in contention for a #1 seed. How did we get here, and what does Arizona fans need to look for going forward here? Let's get started.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. You all know that. Check it out. FanDuel. New customers get $150 bonus bets with it. $200 bonus bets with any $5 winning bet. Check it out. All right. Now, Arizona basketball, my friends. Arizona basketball. We got a lot going on here. First, again, we got to rehash. This team you talk about up and down, up and down, up and down. But at the end of the day, right now, Arizona is up. And there's no way to minimize what Arizona did on this last trip. This was an absolute awesome trip for Arizona. And again, this is one of those things where a win is a win is a win. Don't really care exactly how this one happened, but it happened. And not only that, not only did it happen, it was this was the kind of game where I think that as an Arizona fan, you pretty much know that listen, you can be a 1 seed. Let's just again rehash that Colorado win. I think was probably Arizona's most let's see. Top to bottom impressive conference game of the season, I think. Like some people might say, well, what about Wisconsin or what? I mean, I know Wisconsin's not in the Pac-12, but Colorado is a good team. And not only is Colorado a good team, it is also a team that, like I said, that is a difficult place to play. I mean, you look at a guy like Dana Altman, who's been pretty darn successful. And he goes in there and he has never, I don't know that he's won there in 10 years. He might not have ever won there, to be honest with you. And Arizona, they took the lead early and they absolutely never looked back. And I think that's the impressive part about all of this is that they never looked back. Like I said, we've seen it a billion times where Arizona is kind of in that weird little zone where you think maybe you're a little bit too good or whatever the case may be, and then you end up giving up a 15 to 20 point lead like you did to Stanford or whatever the case may be, or a Utah. Like I said, that didn't happen. This team was clearly on point, and this team was clearly motivated to not have happen what they had happened before. And I think a big part of it, too, is that the season's coming down to the wire now. We are not in January anymore. Not only are we not in January, we're also at a point, too, where you know that, listen, man, the tournament selection committee is watching. Well, they're probably not watching these games. But you need to know that you got to have the best. You want to have the best seeding possible. Now, I know that the old joke is, well, Arizona, they're going to lose either way. You still want to be the 1 seed. You still want to be the 1 seed, and you want to be the 1 seed out west because, again, Arizona fans travel. Not only do Arizona fans travel, they're also kind of at the point where I think that it's like, all right, not only does Arizona travel, but there's not a team out there that I think that you're particularly scared by. And not only that, I think that this is a squad that when they are playing at their best, they're better. I think their upside maybe outside of UConn. I was talking with Aaron Torres about this, but maybe outside of UConn, this might be the team that has the highest upside in the country because they check off all the boxes like we talked about. From a scoring perspective, from a big man perspective, from an athleticism, from a wing perspective, all of that. And not only do they do all of that, they also are kind of at the point, too, where you know that this team, you know what they can do. And I think that's why Arizona fans have been like, all right, come on, let's see a little bit more of this. You know what Arizona what Arizona's capable of. Let's see a little bit more of that. Let's just keep pushing that. And honestly, I think that's certainly what I'm hoping for from the U of A. And I think that that's a very realistic expectation as well. We deserve this, ladies and gentlemen. We deserve this. But seeding is important. I don't want to be stuck out in Bangor, Maine, or, Biloxi, Mississippi if I don't have to. I want to be able to be on the West Coast, and that would either mean Salt Lake City or that would probably mean Spokane. Now, Tommy Lloyd, obviously very familiar with Spokane, and I think that he would be more than okay with that. But that's kind of where we are at this stage in the game. Arizona right now is squarely back in contention for a #1 seed. And not only are they squarely back in contention for a #1 seed, they are also, I think they're the leader in the clubhouse. And I'm going to keep saying this, and I know I sound like a broken record. I'm also to the point now where I don't necessarily care what other teams are doing. Not only do I not really care what other teams are doing, because if Arizona does what they need to do, it's going to take care of their own business. And I think that's where Arizona fans should be. I don't need to scoreboard watch. I don't need to do any of this. If Arizona does what Arizona should be able to do, they are going to be in a good spot. Now, I still think it's important to be out in the West. I get it, that Arizona's made a lot of their runs when they haven't been in the West. Get all of that. But I still would prefer to be out in the West, because I think it's also easier for Arizona fans to travel. And as we're going to talk about, Arizona definitely plays better when they're in front of crowds. And not only does Arizona play better when they're in front of crowds, they also play better when they are in the when they're in a spot where they can, I guess, just get up for the games. If they don't play well in front of play well in front of 13 people or whatever, I don't know. That annoys me to a great deal, but whatever. Arizona plays better in front of crowds. Maybe that's why, when they go to Vegas, I think it's, that's probably why they play really well, or in fact, they're better than everybody else. And I do think that we're also kind of at the stage too, where you do know that Arizona is the is the team that probably should be out West, because again, the conference always tries to put people out West that they think deserve it. And I get that. But who else out West deserves that? I mean, this isn't your Gonzaga team. Not only is this not your Gonzaga team, this also isn't your, it is your Gonzaga team, but it's not your typical Gonzaga team where you're like, all right, they're just going to run the gauntlet and then they're going to be good to go. That's not what this team is. And there really isn't that team. There's certainly not a team on the West Coast that deserves that. So I think the selection committee is definitely going to look towards Arizona. Now, there is an interesting crowd size dynamic in all of this that we need to get to that I do not know about, but we are going to talk about this next. But first, FanDuel, my friends, check it out. FanDuel. All right, all kinds of good stuff on FanDuel. You can put down $5 and you get $200 in free bets instantly. Check it out. Or if your bet wins, that's what's so cool about FanDuel, my friends. FanDuel, check it out. With FanDuel, listen, your money's good. Not only do you know your money's good, you also know that it's going to be fun to be able to bet. Listen, football's over. I get all that, but you still got basketball. You still got football. You still got all of that. That's what's fun about all of this. So again, check it out. FanDuel.com/lockedon. You will thank me later, because again, this is fun and everybody likes betting on something where they got a little bit of skin in the game. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, we got a lot more to get to on this show. Now, Brian J. Peterson put out a great point that I'm going to continue to steal. Not only am I going to continue to steal, I think it's just a great point. And I think that now we're at the point now where I think we're at the point now where I think it's fair to say that Arizona is, when Arizona plays well, when Arizona plays up to its potential, it's really, really good. But again, it kind of needs a boost, it seems, at times. It needs a boost from other teams out there or from other, whatever the venue is, because if it's a big crowd, Arizona plays better. If it's a crowd of over 9,000 people, I believe the stat is Arizona's like 15-1. It's something like that. And not only is it something like that, they also know, you also know that this is a team where this also a squad where you do know that, they are going to respond well either way. But again, physicality is going to be a big part of what they do. When Arizona plays with physicality, when Arizona plays with purpose, this is a team that is a monster to be reckoned with. And look across the country. This is kind of a team where I don't think that anybody should look at this team. I don't think that anybody should look at this team and be like, all right, they're overmatched against somebody. But again, a big part of that, though, is their physicality, is when they play with purpose, when they play with tenacity, when they play with that kind of grind, they are a problem for anybody to have. And I think that's where it's very exciting about Arizona, is that we've seen it. Now, again, it's about to be able, a lot of this is where can Arizona continue to get to the point where you're like, okay, we're bringing it on a game-by-game basis? Because, again, it's about what Arizona can do on a game-by-game basis. And if Arizona can do this on a game-by-game basis, then you're going to be very good. All right, now let's talk about some of the players. Up front, Oumar Ballo. There will be no more Oumar Ballo slander. Oumar Ballo, leader of men, is a let's just put it. Oumar Ballo, leader of men, is he is a dude who he is a guy that every single game is pretty much 15-10. Now, he's far from perfect. Not only is he far from perfect, he is just a great dude to have on a team. He's not going to be great in the pick and roll defense. We already know that. Totally get that. I understand all of that. I do not care. Again, if he was flawless, he would be in the NBA right now. But he's not flawless, obviously, but he's got a lot of really good qualities to his game. He is a good player. He is a very, very good player. And not only is he a very, very good player, he is a dude who is he is a guy that I think at this stage in the game, and he is a guy who I think at this stage in the game is pretty much at the point where with Oumar that you want him here as much as you want him here as long as you can. And you want him, and honestly, it's tough to get. Now, again, we're getting some breaking news right now, so that's what I'm looking at. But again, all right, but Oumar Ballo, I will take it. I will take that. And not only that will I take that, I will be very, very excited for him for as long as he can. Then you got Keyshawn Johnson. Again, with Keyshawn, I just need the energy, my guy. I just need the energy. And not only do I need the energy, I just need an effort from him. And not only do I need an effort from him, I need something where he's an energy. He's a hustle guy. We all know that. And not only do we know all of that, we also know that, we also do know that he's the dude who, when he gets going, we've seen it against Purdue. He was really, really good. And that's more of what you need out of him. I mean, that's exactly what you need out of him. And if you can get that out of him, the front court's going to be set. And then Mount Crevis, again, like I said, with Mount Crevis, what I want from him, again, is just him to be able to be functional, physical, and when he comes in, don't dribble. When he doesn't dribble, he is good. But when he dribbles, he isn't good. We do not want any more dribbling. I don't know why he puts the ball down on the ground. I don't know why he puts the ball down on the ground. I also don't know exactly why he does some of the stuff he does, but either way, he's a good player. He is a big difference, though. When John Schuster always says that when Mount Crevis is impactful, when he's physical, that's a difference maker. Because again, most people can't bring players off the bench that are that big, that are that talented, and not only that big and that talented, but are able to play in the manner in which he does. He is a good basketball player, and Arizona needs more of that out of him. And I think Tommy Lloyd is doing him I think Tommy Lloyd needs to continue to put that out there. But I think at the same stage, though, it's also fair to say that I think it's also fair to say that Arizona right now is how do I put this? Arizona right now is kind of at the point where that you know what you're going to get out of those three if you get pretty much those kind of contributions. Again, I think it's fair to say that you want 30 and 20 out of those three dudes. You get 30 and 20 out of those three dudes, then I think that you're going to be in very, very good shape. And then after that, Pelle Larsson, like I said, Pelle Larsson is my bad Pelle, the my bad hashtag movement. Pelle will continue, but Pelle has been very, very good. And Pelle is going to be very impactful for what Arizona needs to do come March. Not only is Pelle going to be very impactful for what Arizona needs to do come March, he is the player that when the chips are down, he's turned out to be that guy. Again, got to make those free throws, Pelle. That's my only concern. You got to make those free throws. But if you make those free throws, then you're going to be in good shape. And not only are you going to be in good shape, you're going to be in a spot where you're able to essentially go as far as you want. Because again, looking around the country, UConn is a monster. I get all of that. UConn is big, UConn is physical, UConn is strong, and UConn has a lot of talent, and they're very well coached, and they're very tough as well. Get all of that. But outside of that, I think Arizona looks every team in the eye. Purdue, for example, Purdue does not worry me in the way that I think worries so many people. Because again, I don't know that Zach Edey is going to get 10,000 foul calls come the NCAA tournament. Maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe he is, but I don't see that one happening. And then with that one, Kansas has a very good starting five, but then after that starting five, you start kind of getting diminishing returns because you got a lot of guys out there that probably shouldn't be playing. Arizona's depth is just a lot different. And not only is Arizona's depth a lot different, it's also kind of the stage where you also know that we're kind of at the stage with Arizona where I think you're also kind of at the stage with Arizona where you know that they're going to be good. Now, again, we need to talk about the legacy here in a second. But I think a big part of this, though, is where exactly does Arizona see itself going forward? But first, we've got eBay Motors, my friends. eBay Motors. Here's the deal. Cut out the middleman. And check it out for yourself. Millions of parts for your MVP. Win every time with parts that fit your ride. Again, maybe you're like me and you're a neophyte. You know nothing about cars. And you're like, all right, well, I want to be able to check this one out. But I don't know anything. But I do know a trusty mechanic. I will go get the parts, and then I will get it to the trusty mechanic, and I will save money in the long run. So again, eBay Motors, millions of parts for your MVP. Win every time with parts that fit your ride. Again, that's what's great about eBay Motors. Again, you cut out the middleman. I feel very, very comfortable with eBay Motors because, again, it has been good to me. All right, now, this is a little bit of a legacy type game for Tommy Lloyd, or a tournament for Tommy Lloyd as well. I've been telling people this all year. Tommy Lloyd is not going to be judged by how he does during the regular season. We've already seen that. We already know exactly what Lloyd is able to do in the regular season. But come postseason time, listen, let's be honest. It hadn't been great. The year that Arizona was a #1 seed in his first year, he was listen, they didn't play well in any game. You were essentially tied with Wright State in the first half. You should have lost to TCU. You didn't, so I'll certainly give them credit on that. But then after TCU, you got absolutely annihilated by Houston. And then after that, Princeton did kind of the same thing to you, man. I mean, Princeton punked Arizona. There's no other way to put it. Arizona can't go out that way again. Arizona's got to be able to be tough. And you know what? If you lose a game, go out being tough. Don't go out being soft like you were against Princeton. Now, again, I don't think that's going to happen because I think a big part of it, too, is that you've got Caleb Love. You got Caleb Love on this team. Arizona had no Caleb Loves last year. I guess I thought maybe Ramey would be that dude to a certain extent, but he really wasn't. But Arizona with Caleb Love, you're here for the whole experience, good and bad. But Caleb Love, he will take that bull by the horn. And not only will he take those bulls by the horn, he will embrace the moment. We've seen it from Caleb many, many times. Arizona didn't have that guy last year. Not only did Arizona not have anybody like that, I think it's also fair to say that, that's going to be the difference. We're going to find out, though, because, again, if this happens again in year 3 under Tommy Lloyd, you start to have some real questions. You start to have some real questions about, just where exactly is the toughness in this team come March. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, Lute lost 3 out of 4 in the first round. I get all that. Lute also had multiple Final Fours in his resume by that point at Iowa and at Arizona. You got to remember that. That's something that you can't really leave out about all of this. Lute Olson had multiple Final Fours. If Tommy Lloyd had multiple Final Fours, then I think it's probably fair to say that that he wouldn't have some of the same complaints. But right now, I think right now it's also kind of where Arizona needs to basically just kind of, take care of business. Again, we're coming down to the stretch of the season. And like I said, nobody's going to care if Arizona is a 3 seed and it goes to the Final Four here in Tucson, because all they're going to care about is the Final Four. Conversely, nobody's going to care if Arizona was a 1 seed and gets bounced in the round of 32. Because, again, they were still a 1 seed that got bounced in the round of 32. It's all going to be about March. And, like I said, I'm not breaking any news, but that's what it's going to be. It's going to all be about March. And I think that's where Arizona fans obviously need to have their focus on. But either way, Arizona, this was an awesome weekend for Arizona basketball. Not only was it an awesome weekend for Arizona basketball, it was also a weekend where it was just a reminder of how good this team can be when this team is put, out there in the right spot. So again, I think you got to be really, really excited about where Arizona is. And not only that, you also got to know that Arizona is the team that is about to be in contention for a 1 seed. And there's nobody that Arizona can't beat in the country. There's nobody where you're like, better stay away from them, because there's absolutely no chance they can win. Now, coming back tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit more Arizona football as well. Keep in mind, we got Arizona football coming up. And again, we're going to keep it on the Arizona basketball train as well. But either way, we are a 2-sports school. We are good at football and we are good at basketball. Those are all kinds of good things. Okay. But like I said, you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday. This was like I said, this was a good weekend for Arizona, and we're going to keep the good vibes going against ASU as well. Arizona State should run into a buzzsaw. At least we hope that is the case. But on that note, I am your host, Mike Luke. And as always, thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. We will be back with you tomorrow. Bear down and back the A.